Well, we've had new news about regulation of big tech, but it's on the other side of the Atlantic over in Brussels as the European Union has moved forward with two different acts to really address big tech issues. In the meantime, back in the United States, we haven't heard as much recently, but we are joined now by somebody who really knows this area terribly well. She is Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican of Tennessee. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. I want to talk about big tech with you, as I always do, but first, just spend a minute or two with us on that leaked decision or opinion coming out of the Supreme Court. You've tweeted about it. What do you make of what we saw?
Yeah. You know, David, what we saw was an activist inside the court, someone who is working for a justice, obviously, and whether they're from the left or the right, what they did was wrong. They're trying to influence an outcome. The justices spend a lot of time in conversation, in sending drafts back and forth, in editing. As they reach their opinions, confidentiality is paramount. To do this is a violation of that trust that has been placed in that individual. I'm pleased that Chief Justice Roberts is beginning an investigation. The marshals are going to do an investigation, I think, in short order. They will know exactly who did this, and they should be punished to the full extent allowable.
Yeah, Senator, actually, I worked up there as a law clerk many years ago, and I can tell you it is shocking, the breach of confidence, no question about it. But I wonder if we could also ask you about the political consequences, potentially, of this development. One of the things that Senator Schumer from the Democratic side noted yesterday is so far the Republicans such as yourself have focused on the leak, not on the merits of it. Do you think that this will be helpful to Republicans if, in fact, and we don't know if this will happen, the court comes out the way this opinion would indicate?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate at this point to focus on what happened to the integrity of the court and then respond appropriately when there is a decision, whether they uphold or whether they send this back to the states. It's important to note that there would not be anything that banned abortion. It would be positioning it with the states to make the restrictions and regulations on abortion.
So, Senator, I do want to turn to the big tech issue because this is something you do know a lot about. You've invested a lot of your personal time and effort in it. We have two new acts, they're called, coming out of Europe, a Digital Markets Act, a Digital Services Act, to regulate big tech. Thus far, we don't have, I don't believe, any counterpart in the United States. What do you make of what Europe is doing, and should we be doing something similar?
Oh, indeed. And Senator Blumenthal and I have worked in a bipartisan manner drafting legislation that would address some of these and holding hearings. You know, we've had 5 hearings on big tech this year and focusing on what is happening online, whether it's to consumers, whether it's to children, looking at what is happening in the Section 230 realm, which, as you mentioned, the Digital Services Act goes after that fraudulent information, fraudulent merchandise. That is more closely akin to our Section 230. When it comes to privacy, that is their Markets Act. And I think, David, as I have talked to those parliamentarians from the UK, from the EU, from Canada, but when the EU, when they look at what happened with GDPR, they feel like they overreached and therefore they stifled innovation. So they wanted to do a revisit of that into something that would be more friendly to innovation. And I appreciate the thoughtfulness that they have brought to this. They felt like it was important to move forward. They are ready for us to move forward. I'm ready to move forward with consumer privacy. We have our legislation about ready to go and are looking forward to getting that filed. Of course, our open app market bill is ready to go to the floor for markup. Our kids online safety bill is ready to receive a markup in Commerce Committee.
So, Senator, you pointed to the question I wanted to get to, which is the balance between promoting innovation and, yes, free speech, such as it is online. At the same time, protecting people against certain forms of speech. That's something that Elon Musk, as he buys Twitter, he wants to have more open forums, not as much regulation. Do regulations such as the Digital Services Act potentially impose some responsibilities on people like Elon Musk to make sure they are policing their speech, at least to some degree?
Yes, when you look at their Digital Services Act, what you will see is that these aggregator sites are going to have to confirm that the information they're sending forward is accurate, or that the products that they are pushing into the marketplace are not fraudulent products. It doesn't limit free speech. It doesn't limit change of ideas. What it does is focus on the creator of that content. And I think that this is a way for them to keep that open forum, if you will. So, and when I look at what we do in America, the public square, which you were talking about Twitter and Elon. Now, David, when that started, it was to be the online public square. And this nation and our freedoms have been well served by robust, respectful, bipartisan debate, getting that point and that counterpoint. We want to make certain that free speech in the USA continues, that people have the right to speak their mind. And we're not going to agree all the time, but I accept that, and I realize that I learn from hearing someone give a counterpoint to a point that I have made. That's a good thing. We want to keep speech free. We want to keep these platforms accessible, and we want to make certain that products that are sold online are not fraudulent products.
At the same time, as you said, you've got legislation that you're proposing with Senator Blumenthal. What are the prospects of getting that enacted anytime soon?
The prospects increase every day. When you talk to moms, one of the things that they want to see is privacy for their children online, safety for their children online. They also want to make certain that there is a way to protect the privacy of their family and themselves individually. I call it protecting and owning their virtual you. They want to control that information. And every day that goes by, and certainly COVID contributed to this, what we hear from people is, I want to own my information. And legislation that I've been working on for years would enable you, the consumer, to provide explicit consent if you want to share your information. If you withhold that consent, the platform could not boot you off the platform. And they could not make that the price, if you will, for using their platform.
Senator, thank you so much. Really appreciate your being with us. That's Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee.